Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the P-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael Angelillo. What's up, cuz? How we doing?
We're doing all right. You know, had a really fun night at the sports book watching Thursday night football among NHL games and the Sixers beating the Warriors in that crazy game. That was fun. Have enjoyed some of the winter weather and some winter festivities over the last couple days, and also enjoyed conference championship weekend in the college football scape. Very interesting. Looks like we're gonna get a couple of unfamiliar faces making the playoff in Tulane and James Madison. Looks like they're both gonna make it as they won their conference and they rank much higher than the now ACC conference champion Duke Blue Devils, who were unranked and defeated the Virginia Cavaliers last night. But we saw Ohio State fall. We saw Alabama get spanked, and we saw what BYU also get spanked and lose their chances of making it to Texas Tech. So it was entertaining. It was good. I did also cash and make some money off that, so that's always a positive. Get you some playing money for a good NFL Sunday. But yeah, no, we're doing pretty good. How are you doing today, John? I feel like I don't ask you enough. How are you doing?
Mhm. Oh, I'm doing fine.
Yeah,
Just locked into a podcast, my friend.
yeah, we're locked in.
By the
So
way,
what do you wanna
I
go
have
ahead.
the projected college football playoff.
Is that
Um,
updated post-conference championship?
that is correct. So I do agree with their who they mentioned getting the buys. So obviously the buys are Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's just could you imagine if they didn't change that rule? Where the rule originally was the top 4 conference winners are the buys, so, like, Ohio State wouldn't be getting a bye, and, Tulane would be getting a bye. Could you imagine Tulane getting a bye to the 2nd round? That's what it would have been. That's what it was last year, but they kinda rid of that. It questions how important sometimes conference championship game could be. Ohio State, not taking too big of a hit by losing, last night to Indiana.
yeah, I would say so. I mean, realistically, it was much bigger for Indiana than it was for Ohio State. Indiana hasn't won the Big Ten since the 40s, I think.
It was 1945, I think it was, which, I mean, pretty crazy stuff, man. I can't,
Yeah,
absolutely wild.
basically since World War II, the last year of World War II. Yeah,
Oh, you put it like that, man.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then so here's like the projected teams that are going to be in the playoff that don't have buys. So the projected first round game in Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma takes on Notre Dame.
Oh, is the well, wait. Well, I guess it depends what you're looking at. I'm seeing something different, but the one I'm looking at would have 8 Oklahoma hosting 9 Miami.
Oh, I guess mine's from CBS Sports. This is from
I'm
up
on
to
NCAA.com. It
yeah.
really
This
doesn't
was
matter. Point
yes,
is, they're gonna have a pretty tough time. You have your 4 buys easily. Indiana, I guess Georgia can leapfrog Ohio State, which kind of feels whatever. And then Texas Tech stays down at 4 because they lost, whatever. Oregon, first team missing a bye. They were at 5 last week. That probably shouldn't change. Ole Miss, likely gonna stay up, even though they did lose Lane Kiffin. That's an interesting angle. They definitely could have probably the precedent they set, they could have dropped them a few spots, without their head coach, the way they kind of ran things before. A&M, Texas A&M will be 7. And then you have this cluster of 2 lost teams of, uh, Texas A&M or excuse me, of Oklahoma, Miami, Notre Dame, and they're likely like, they all likely can make it, and it looks like you're gonna maybe have Alabama. and Texas and like Vanderbilt as those 2, 3 loss teams that are probably going to miss for the likes of Tulane and James Madison jumping all the way in there because they won their conference. And that, I mean, that's part of it. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes this whole process interesting. Even if those two teams are going to go get smacked, it's I think it's better to reward that than to just be like, "Oh, well, the sake of having a better game, we should just keep out all these shitty conference winners." Because then it's like, okay, what is a school like James Madison even playing for? If they're never ever gonna be on the same level of goodness of playing field of teams from the SEC or the Big 10 or the Big 12. So why play where if they can go undefeated or lose one game, win their conference, and they don't even have a prayer's chance to make the tournament because their strength of schedule isn't good enough. And like I get all that, but I don't know. I just feel as though it's important to still have those sort of things matter because if you start making conference championships not matter at all, then you might as well not even have them. Then you might as well like just play the games and wherever they lie is where they lie. So it'll be fun. It was fun last year. I'm sure it'll be fun again this year. You know, people can complain the sacrilegiousness of the playoff, and it's not just the whatever, but it is definitely fun to have all these sort of playoff games, especially the first round. I love that the first round is a home game for a lot of these all the schools that are, not getting a bye but are the higher seed. I enjoy that, that game's gonna be it'll probably be like Oregon James Madison at Oregon. That'll be pretty funny or whatever. So I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah, and I kind of want to talk about some of a couple of the big games from last night.
Mhm.
I mean, BYU getting absolutely destroyed
Tough
by
draw for
Texas,
them. Tough draw for them.
Texas
That
Tech.
Yeah.
I see everyone kind of knocks Texas Tech for the NIL, and they might be one of the big reasons why they want to cap NIL because Texas Tech normally has been like, especially the Big 12, like one of the mid tier schools. Like, would they get ranked? Like, yes. Like when Patrick Mahomes was there, were they ranked at times? Like, of course
They
they
were
were.
like the upper teens though. They
You
were
know,
never top 10.
yeah. Like I would say that the before like this year, the best I ever seen them was probably when they had like Michael Crabtree like on their team. Like
Wow.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
that being said, like their D line is insane. Like their defense is incredible. Wouldn't mind if the Eagles were to maybe draft a Texas Tech defender
Yeah.
because they're just so fast.
Yeah.
Um, BYU, yeah, man. Like,
It's just tough. It's a tough loss for them. The other big games, not really much of a game at all. Alabama, Georgia. I mean, Alabama in the post Saban era is just not nearly the same product. Ty Simpson looks like he might have to stay another year at college and not immediately go into the NFL draft because I just don't think his draft stock's going to be that fruitful. It's kind of like what happened with um, uh, I'm drawing a blank. What was I thinking of Carson Beck? I don't know if I was. I might have been, but it's just
I mean, sure, he's
you
fit.
kind of go out sad at your big school where if you put together a good run, maybe I'm thinking of Quinn Ewers too, where it's like you could really have an opportunity to kind of make a name for yourself and get drafted high, and then you kind of poop the bed down the stretch, poop the bed in big games, and it's like, well, I do have another year of eligibility. I might as well stay in college. And Ty Simpson looks like he might be better suited for the transfer portal than the NFL draft at this point. But Georgia, even if it's not as dominant as it was just a few years ago, they're still very good, and they're going to be a very, very serious contender once again, as they're going to be sitting now likely in the top two. They're likely going to hop Ohio State for that number 2 seed in the playoff.
So, and then you mentioned Alabama losing to Georgia. So I feel like every time like Alabama loses now, it's just fire to Bower, fire to Bower, fire
Yeah,
to Bower. Because luckily, I'm not a Penn State fan, but they made a huge hiring. They finally found their coach. in Iowa State's Matt Campbell. I think Campbell's a very good coach. I think that's a great hire for Penn State because one, I think he's just a better coach than the guy they had before, Michael. You know,
Yeah, yeah. We gotta see how it works out. I know some people were saying, listen, the fire James Franklin thing is very fun until it turns out that you can't hire like anybody that's got some sort of pedigree. And it's like that's usually how the college game works. You get a lot of retreads in college. It's not like the NFL now where teams are trying to avoid retreads. College game, you know, guys will always find a job. Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly, whatever, because coaches' names carry a lot of water, carry a lot of value, and that's a lot big part of the recruiting process. And offensive coordinators and whatnot, and defensive coordinators across the country at the college level maybe don't have that same sort of juice until they like maybe go to the NFL first, or they got to start out at a smaller school. It's very rare that a big program makes a coordinator hire. Um, as we're seeing with like LSU there. So, but then we had the Big Ten championship game. The Ohio State Buckeyes losing their first game of the season to the still undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana, some very impressive wins on their resume this year, winning against Oregon and now winning against Ohio State in the conference championship game. Fernando Mendoza perhaps locked in his Heisman in what's a very weak Heisman year. He definitely had some big throws, even though they only scored 13 points. He had some pretty massive throws to pick up some massive first downs and move the ball when they needed to move it. Um, but I got to shout out Indiana's defense. We all know how good Ohio State's defense is. You probably say it's the best in the country, probably by a decent margin as well. They ran a couple of those fades that worked really nicely. Indiana, that is, but I got to credit their defense for being able to slow down two incredible receivers and a freshman quarterback who's been playing really well. Um, Carnell Tate is likely going to go in like the top 10 of the NFL draft this year, and people are like cannot wait for Jeremiah Smith to be draft eligible. They would have drafted him in the top 10 after his freshman year. They would have drafted him in the top 10 after his sophomore year, which is right now. And he's probably going to get drafted in the top 10 following his junior year next year. So, two incredible receivers that you didn't really feel their impact during that game just because Indiana kind of had them up in a box. Um, Both quarterbacks got a little panicky sometimes when it was so weird to watch because it was like they'd be dropped back in the pocket, looking, and if what they wanted to throw wasn't there, even if the pressure wasn't getting home, you'd start to see the panic from both of them. Mendoza, he'd start trying to run, but then he'd run in the wrong way, and it's like, dude, you can stand exactly where you're standing for at least another 2 seconds because no one was even near you, and Sayin was doing the same sort of thing. So it was a really good defensive battle, very tight, and Indiana was able to squeak it out. Obviously, the big story at the very end of the game, Ohio State electing not to go for it on 4th and 1, something I definitely would have gone for. They were milking the clock that whole drive. I think when you're milking it like that, you're not you only kick the field goal if you really feel like you need it, which is maybe like 4th and like 4 or longer or so, because if you were going down the field with the mindset of kicking a field goal, you'd have a little bit more urgency because you wanna get the ball back, you know what I mean? You don't
yeah,
want
but don't
to.
you remember what Greg Olson said about when another team is up by 3 and they're in the red zone? Like, do you go for it or do you kick the field goal to go
Well,
up
that's
by
what I'm
6?
saying, when you're up by 3, sure, but they're down by 3 in that spot,
Well, I'm saying,
and
like, no, but look at the opposite end of that. Like, teams always go in mind, oh, we got to tie it with the field goal. Like,
yeah, they had that in their back of their pocket, that cigar. If we get to 4th down, we're kicking it no matter what, and it's only a 27-yard field goal. But what do we know, John? We can't trust these college kickers to do anything. It's a hard job, and when you're in college with that job, the mental aspect of it is so much tougher than when you're a pro and actually a grown man versus being, like, essentially a kid and all like a late adolescent trying to make those kicks, you know what I mean? And it's on the right hash, and
the hash
college
marks are what's
have the
wider in
extra
college.
wide hashes for whatever stupid reason. and he totally overcompensates and he hooks it. He hooks a 27-yard field goal, and Ohio State's defense could not get them another shot to get the ball back. And that's they got the ball with what, like 20 seconds or so to end the game. And in my mind, that's what it would have been. Because okay, say he makes that field goal, Indiana drove right down the field. You would have lost right then and there. But if you score a touchdown, it's a little more sweaty. And if you don't get it, I guess the same result would have happened. They would have had the ball that deep in their territory, and they would have got it anyways. So ultimately, maybe you couldn't have made the right decision if your kicker's not going to make it. But I, I'm of the mindset now is I can't just assume my kicker's gonna make anything at any level, really, even the pros. It's like I'm so far away from, "Well, you should have just taken the 3," and I'm like, "Well, who's to say he would have made it now?" People miss anything. Kicks are getting blocked at a higher
Yeah,
clip
so that
than
was
we've ever seen.
Jaden Fielding had not missed a field goal between 20 to 29 yards his entire collegiate career. He's in his third year, Michael.
Sure.
It's tough, man. It's just,
It's tough, it's tough, it blows. I would have trusted the 2 receivers that are going into the top 10 in the next 2 years
or
and my
even just like
Heisman candidate
Even just like
quarterback.
Bo Jackson, just to pound
Yes,
the
he's
rock and
been
get the
yeah,
first
yep,
down.
yep, absolutely. I totally agree with you, and they got a little both teams are being passive. The Indiana coach was making me get Sirianni headaches, the way he was coaching the game at the end of the first half where they're just milking both teams were just running the clock out with, like, under a minute to go in the first half. They're like, "Yeah, who cares? Let's just get out of here." They get a sack on 3rd down. Indiana could have called a timeout with, like, 55 seconds left, and then the next play was an incomplete pass. Instead, they let the clock run down 30 seconds, and now they only get the ball with 20 seconds and they knee out the half, and I'm just
It
like,
did feel like at some points in that game, like those two teams know at some point they will have to play each other in the playoff potentially.
potentially, yeah, they
And
gotta
maybe
get
you
there
don't want to, and you maybe you don't want to tip your hand on like what you want to show them
for the sake of 2 seeding spots. I
because
hear you.
Indiana was the highest scoring offense in college football,
Mhm.
and they only scored 13 points. And listen, Ohio State, best defense in the country. I mean, the over under was like what, 45, 46 and a half, like 45, 46 points. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I kind of got that vibe a little bit, and then Mendoza. I mean, listen, here's the thing with Mendoza is like he kind of reminds me of Herbert the way he kind of moves around. Obviously, Herbo has got better arm talent. I mean, also Herbo went like 10th overall in the NFL, or like he went
6th, he went
or say
6th.
he was the third quarterback taken.
Yeah.
I just think that the thing with Mendoza is he took that big hit and got rocked, and kind of thought to myself, I'm like, dude, if he goes to like the Saints or like the Jets, that's gonna happen on a regular basis. Like, how many times has he been rocked like all season? Probably very little. And I don't know, man. Like you kind of brought up too. Like, I just don't. He kind of gives me T-Law vibes, like kind of like that bigger quarterback that can move, strong arm, like holds on to it
But
too long.
he's just not the prospect that Lawrence was coming out, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Like, Lawrence just felt like a more polished and again, hasn't he doesn't blow in the NFL, but he hasn't panned out to what we thought he was going to be. Like, that's a pretty stone cold fact at this point, you
And then
know?
you have a guy like Jackson Dart, who you're like, oh, this guy's gonna suck, and then
Right, and it's like, I'm a lot more impressed with his accuracy than I thought I was gonna be. His ball placement is a lot better
his only
than I
problem is
assumed.
staying
He's an
healthy.
idiot. Yeah, yeah. Um,
So,
but we had
obviously,
some good college games, man.
there's some good
It was
college
entertaining.
games. So, like today, obviously the Eagles play Monday night. Today's an interesting day, Michael, because this is definitely going to be a two-screen type of day. Red zone on one, Flyers Avalanche at 1 o'clock.
Dude, how's that gonna go?
So I sent you that tweet about the Flyers are projected to finish with 104 points on the
Dude, I'll
season.
believe it when I see it.
Is it going? Is it like now? Granted, that's like saying if your football team is 3-1, oh, we're projected to go
Yeah, 14
13
and
and
3.
4.
Yeah,
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 and you're like,
yeah.
it's like if the Jets started
Sure,
three and
man.
one, like, yeah, right? I get it.
Sure, man. No, I hear you.
I mean, I think this is a good test for like these
Yeah,
for the Flyers, I feel obviously because the Avalanche right now are the best team in hockey. They got demolished by the well, no, they were. It looked like they were going to get demolished by the Islanders on Thursday, but
yeah. I mean, the NHL, the Eastern Conference in particular, in a very interesting spot, where you have one, two, three, four,
they
five,
did get demolished by
six,
the Islanders. I know.
7, 8. You have 13 teams in the Eastern Conference between 30 and 35 points. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. The Flyers are in 33 have 33 points, and they're 5th in the Metro, and I don't know. I'm very much of the thought that they are going to collapse at some point. They have the least goals in the Eastern Conference by, like, a decent margin at this point. Um, they only have more goals than some of the slop in the West, and to me, it just feels as though, they're gonna come crashing down, and it really isn't even gonna take that much for them to come falling down. Like, all it takes is, like, a bad week, and all of a sudden, you're last in the East by, like, a decent margin. So, yeah, I
I mean,
I'm
they
I'm
had the
I'm
second. I
I'm
mean, they
very
still.
much.
I mean, they had the second fewest goals, despite the fact that maybe their best like pure defensive defenseman on the roster, Ristolainen, has not played at all this year. Like he's coming back, and like within that spot, you've had Ginning, Juleson, and Zamula like play
Right.
meaningful minutes, and I,
It's not to be all bad. I just think they're gonna the bad offense is gonna just catch up to them. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
because
And
like
it's like,
listen,
is Vladar.
I mean, I saw this week that Michkov stated that next off season he wants to stay in Voorhees and just be a rink rat the entire time, which is good. I think. I mean, I don't know when you saw he was in like when you read the story about him getting the car accident in Dubai, like
Dude, yeah, like, listen,
that's
I'm not
why he
gonna.
couldn't train. Like he got in a car accident, and probably got injured.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna kill him, you know? It's a 20-year-old or whatever that
Oh, absolutely not, man.
his dad, like, arguably got killed by, uh, like, higher powers in his native land. It was such a ordeal for him to get over here in the first place. I'm gonna let him enjoy what
Well,
that,
this is it.
first
Well, not
off
just that
season
too, man.
was.
Just what I've noticed in like this is kind of all sports, not just hockey. When you have the sophomore slump,
Mhm.
usually that's like a season long thing. Matvey pretty much had that for like a month,
He's working, yeah, like, I
and
mean,
now he
because
looks basically like the guy that we
the
thought he was
ability
going to
was
be after
always there, he just
20
had to
years.
get his legs under him and
Yeah,
get his
man.
speed back up and his conditioning a
Yeah,
little up, and he'd be
exactly,
fine.
dude.
So
So
he's fine,
he's
he's
such a
fine.
special talent.
Yeah,
Um,
but anyways, let's get into football. We had a game Thursday that John once again nailing Thursday Night Football unlike anything other. Um, that was that was a huge game for
I didn't really
both.
nail it fully though because I said it was going to be a close game, like, and it was not.
It it did feel closer than the score because I guess both teams were scoring a lot, but the Lions just did not let their foot off the gas. We didn't get the Goff, like, brutal turnover I think that we were expecting, and instead we kinda got, Steelers George Pickens, where mentally started checking out a little bit, getting kinda beat to the spot, bullied on a slant route that gets popped up in the air and intercepted, and it's like, you weren't doing that the last 3 weeks, man. When things were going well and you were winning, you were making all those sort of catches in traffic, and you were out muscling everybody for every ball and out jumping everybody. And now you're a little weak at the catch point. Now Dak throws a bomb up to you down 2 scores, and you're letting a ball land about, like, a foot and a half away from one of your feet, not diving for it, not running under it, not, all of a sudden, and I'm seeing on Twitter all the Steeler fans that are like, "This was part of the issue big time." Not to say he's not a great player, but you're also seeing a lot of fans are like, okay, maybe I don't know if I want to give this guy 35 million a year, whatever he would, not 35, but like 30 million a year, whatever he would get. Because the
Yeah,
talent is there,
exactly.
and we
So yeah,
saw it, you know.
well,
We
yeah,
saw
George
the talent take
Pickens.
over.
Yeah, well, so George Pickens went on Instagram and so ripped into Richard Sherman because Richard Sherman criticized him. Shocker,
Mhm.
Richard Sherman has an opinion, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And then but this is kind of where instead of saying like, shut the hell up, Richard Sherman,
yeah.
he, he was like, this is a team game, LMAO. I'm not the only one on the team. Stop becoming an analyst and talking about one player when he played a team's game. A lot of bleep has to go right for explosive plays. And it's funny because I thought former players would know that, such as bleep bleep Richard Sherman, who by the way ain't bleep without the Legion of Boom. We all
Jesus
remember San
Christ,
Francisco, brother.
dude.
Much love. Don't speak on me unless you know the game of football. As a former player, not a bleep riding fan slash analyst that act like double team is not a thing or certain bracket coverages don't exist.
Wow, that is a really long comment that he wrote. I did not know it was that
Knowing you
long.
played ball, which showed me you a leech weirdo. Now Twitter, eat this up. Clout bleep world.
Damn. Okay.
Well, so basically,
So basically, Pickens took no responsibility for struggling a little bit towards the end of that game,
I feel
especially.
kind of bad for Dak because it feels like when he's playing well, his receivers are like, "Oh, I love Dak. Dak's
I mean,
awesome.
this was going
Dak's
to be a
great. We love
lamb.
Dak." And then
Yeah,
when Dak has like a down game, it's like
it's a
team
team
game.
game. Yeah,
Like that just
Uh,
like that's just like that's the problem is like if Jerry Jones, you know, was like an actual owner instead of just an evil billionaire like like
snake oil
like
salesman.
snake oil salesman weirdo like come on man, like this is what we thought was going to happen when we got Pickens in the first place, not maybe the huge stats but
No,
the
but it's like Pickens has been awesome for the Cowboys this year. It's undeniable. He's been like he was, he's playing at like an all pro level, at like stats, the impact. It's been really special. But to see that kind of bleed into a game where you kind of needed him to step up and be able to lean on him, where today that game felt like it was going to be a Lamb game. I mean, Lamb got
it
knocked
was a
out with a
Lamb game until he got
concussion.
concussed.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was a Lamb game. He had what 120 yards or so before he got knocked out and um, concussed pretty bad. But that's the opportunity. Pickens like, all right, it's time for me to step up and carry this team here on the road in a tough spot, and could not really get it done. And granted, they still scored 30 points. They didn't totally blow. The biggest story of the game was the Lions' offense finally dragging the Cowboys defense back down to earth. They were playing a lot better the previous couple weeks. They did give up 4 touchdowns to Kansas City, but they were still just stingy enough. And obviously against the Eagles, stingy enough after they got out to the big deficit. Um, but the Lions, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is truly out of his mind. He really, really is a special talent, can really take over any game. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, shocked that he played. That was a huge plus for them. You really felt his impact. Everyone was getting involved for Detroit. Goff played really well, I thought. Um,
Jameson Williams.
yeah, when Goff plays well, things usually are pretty good for the
Yeah, so
Lions.
basically, like, this is my take on the Cowboys defense. Like, the front seven for the Cowboys has some playmakers. The problem is, like, they might have, like, the worst linebacking core in the NFL. So basically, their front four is so good at clogging up the run that it's great.
Well, I mean,
It's
you see
stopping the
what
run.
happens when they put their linebackers, like you said, bad linebackers in conflict. Jahmyr Gibbs had what, 7 catches for like 80 yards or something like that receiving, or was it more than that maybe? It's just
The Lions thought it was a smart idea at one point to have Dan Skipper on a linebacker to try to
yeah,
pass
I mean,
block.
that was
Like,
ridiculous.
like they thought, like that's how little they respected the Cowboys linebackers.
Yeah, when you're, I don't know, it's just
Like the
something.
Mario Overshown is working his way back from a very serious injury,
Yeah, they
and
traded for Logan
he's the
Wilson.
only good
Like,
linebacker they have on their roster.
yeah, it's just frustrating not to totally bring up the Eagles, but it's like when a team has a weakness and it's like, okay, let's be smart about how we can get our best players the ball against these not great players. And the Lions capable of doing that. Ben Johnson or not, they can do it. And you know, the Lions and both teams really need to save their season. I mean, they kept showing the playoff probabilities, and it was like the Cowboys, if they win, it gets like a hair over 50% or something like that to make the playoffs because they'd have some pretty good tiebreakers and whatever. Um, but if the Lions had lost, it would have dipped below 50%. Things would have been looking very bleak for Detroit to make it. And a win all but officially eliminates the Cowboys at this point. They would really need some help from the Eagles in order to steal the division and get in. And Detroit, it definitely gives them new life. It definitely gives them new life. They needed a win in the worst way. They still have yet to lose back-to-back games in the last 14 losses that the Lions have had. They haven't lost the game after. So that trend stays alive. And yeah, huge, huge
I
win
want to
there.
bring up the Cowboys again though, from just kind of like what I noticed versus the two home games versus this past game against the Lions. I thought it's funny because the Cowboys, you could admit this, you know I'm right. The Cowboys have been certainly beneficial to some penalties being called at home in their favor, and the Lions the
Sure.
last two games were kind of getting hosed by some bad calls their last couple games.
Yeah, no,
I thought the officiating was very slanted towards the Lions,
last on Thursday,
with the
absolutely.
exception of one play, the safety that should have been called.
Yeah, I did see the other angle that was actually the goal line angle, not the one slightly in front of it, and that I maybe could have been convinced if I saw that a few more times to see that he got out. It was very, very close. However, that the offensive pass interference call on Jake Ferguson for, like, a very slight kind of normal hand fighting push through where Anzalone was totally grabbing him and tugging him, like, people are like, "Oh, it was an incomplete pass anyways." It's like, no, no, it should've not only should it not have been OPI, it should have been DPI, it should have been defensive pass interference, and the Lions would have had first and goal, or the Cowboys would have had first and goal and been in a position to score a touchdown and get back in the game there. But alas, offensive pass interference, penalty decline, turnover on down, or whatever, we're down anyways. I forget what it was. But yeah, huge, huge game. Oh, not game deciding, but very much game leveraging call there, going against the Cowboys the first time in a few weeks for sure. Um, it just it does feel like the officiating in this season, and I'm sure this happens every year, really, but it does feel like it's just having a really big impact, and it just makes you wonder
Yeah,
about certain things. What was it? 75% of the bets were on Dallas or something like that, plus 3. Um, Not to do the whole rigged thing, but it does just feel like in
well,
some
no,
very big
no. I think
spots.
no. I think this is why you mentioned the OPI. The Cowboys have gotten away with OPI so much the last 2 weeks. I'm sure
On Dan Campbell, yeah.
No, Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni went to the league office, set a cut up. Look at all these missed OPI calls on
Dan
Dallas.
Campbell probably was like, "Listen, man, we gotta make sure we get these pass interference calls right." And in the biggest spot in the game, it happens. So, it's tough. It's very
I mean
I don't
that's
wanna say my
that's
precious
the
league
thing
is
though with the
rigged, but
Cowboys. It's like Cowboys probably should have known better. Hey guys, we're gonna get called for some of these, like to try to make it less obvious, or get out of your break faster, because that's a lot of it's just like Dak's just throwing moon balls, and
mhm.
Ceedee Lamb's just is just going literally pushing the guy away in front of the ref. Like you saw with
I
AJ Brown. You saw what AJ Brown in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. AJ Brown the past couple weeks
Dude, that was
was
beyond. Oh
was
my
get
god.
was getting away with some OPI.
It just felt like the Super Bowl was going to be lost on the first play, the first big
Yeah,
play.
like basically like, hey,
That's what
officially
we're calling.
exactly like that
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
like when you say to the when you said to the NFL like officiating committee, like, hey, look at what this guy keeps doing. Like you need to
They're going to
flag
call
him.
it once in the
They're
next
gonna
game.
call it
So,
once. The problem was the refs called it at the most critical part of the game for the Dallas Cowboys. Like
yeah.
it sucks.
Moving forward, Dallas, they play it's four winnable games. Sunday night football. Jesus Christ, man, these guys got to get everything. They're at home Sunday night football uh, next week against the Minnesota Vikings. What a disaster
So
that
we're gonna have to
is.
root for 9 to basically help us win the division. That's
To
pathetic.
like clinch it, yeah.
That's
And then they play
pathetic.
the Chargers at home. Um, and then they go to Washington on Christmas Day, and they finish at the Giants. So 4 very winnable games for the Cowboys. Um, if they want any hope at a playoff spot, probably gonna have to win out and need some help along the way, which it feels unlikely. They dug themselves into a pretty deep hole, not being able to finish off the Packers, losing to Carolina. Um, you know, the Carolina loss is probably the big one. Losing to Arizona as well is the big one too. So they shot themselves in the foot along the way. Nothing really new. The Lions though, they're back in it. They're definitely back in it. That NFC North got a little tighter, and we have some big NFC North game this week. Packers Bears we'll talk about later. But to start us off, we do have an NFC North game that we're going to kick us off with at least one team, another NFC North, NFC East game. The Washington Commanders are in Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Jaden Daniels, I think, is going to play, John, right? That's right. Jaden Daniels is going to be in there.
Well, Jay, let's look it up. Jaden Daniels
Just a
to
quick
start versus the Minnesota
Yeah,
Vikings.
so Jaden Daniels is back
Dude,
against JJ McCarthy, who's also back. They're both back. So both
yeah.
banged up quarterbacks are going to be getting the nod today in Minnesota in a dome. This is a tough one for me. I'm really and the public's heavy on Washington. Everyone's anti-9, and I am as well. I agree with that.
I don't think there's
But there's
anybody
something
that's
fishy,
pro
man.
9 right now, man.
There's
There's no
something
one.
fishy. Well, yeah, there's something fishy going on. Not to say this shouldn't only be 1.5 points, but do you not have a little inkling that, maybe Jaden Daniels is a little rusty coming back from the injury, and
I mean, it's still his
it's
non-throwing arm.
yeah, I hear you. It's still an injury, and then also the Commanders' defense, especially secondary, so bad and so banged up that maybe 9 can just get the ball to Jefferson somehow. Is that
Oh,
plausible,
like because
or
he's
is
been
that
so good at for the
all right?
last 8 weeks,
You're right. You're
he's
right.
gonna
You're right.
magically figure
You're right. He's
like,
not waking
dude,
up
like
today with powers. You're right.
here's the thing with Minnesota is if Carson Wentz was not out for the season and like he played instead of Brosmer, it probably still would have been bad. But like to your point, like to this, here's the thing though. If Wentz was playing in this game, I would be tempted to maybe take Minnesota
Oh
because
boy.
because he was able to get it to Addison and he was able to get it to Jay Jettis.
At
9 is the
times.
only quarterback. 9 and like I'm not going to count Brosmer. Max Brosner should not be playing. He is not ready to start in the NFL. That
Right.
was clearly obvious to everybody last week, right? To me, here's the thing. This is why I'm going to take the Vikings. Oh, sorry, sorry, timeout. This is why I'm going to take the Commanders. The problem with the Vikings offense, besides 9 being horrible, is they don't have a running game to help support 9 that they can lean on the running game and play defense and ask 9 to basically be Bo Nix, I guess, is what I'm saying. Basically be Bo Nix, I suppose. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I already saw a mock draft of the Vikings drafting Jeremiah Love in the first round because
The quarterbacks aren't that great, so
Yeah, and like they have no running game. Like that's a like people kind of forget like where Kevin O'Connell comes from. I believe is he from the Shanahan tree or
I thought he
the
was a rant. I thought he was a
the
McVay
Ram?
guy
Well, a big part of like the McVay offense is the ground game.
with a limited quarterback. It very much is reliant on the ground game. I mean,
It's
you
a lot
see
of the
that.
ground game, and Jordan
Yeah,
Mason is like an average running back. Jordan Mason is
it's
a solid
fine at
backup running
best.
back, and Aaron Jones, he's got some juice to him. He's got like
He's
Aaron Jones at
washed.
this
He's
stage is
washed.
also should be a backup running back because of his health problems too.
He's washed. He's not, what he once
Washed.
was.
So like they can't generate anything on the ground. So they're basically one dimensional with the worst starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, it's not
So
great.
how are they going to win games?
Yeah, not great. So we're both on Washington minus a point and a half. The next game we have the Dolphins at the Jets. This game is in New York, which is important because we know something about the Dolphins in cold weather. That is for
Oh,
sure. The
I thought
weather
you were
in
going to go with the angle that the death turf still exists at MetLife when the Jets play, not just when the Giants play. And you have
well, that is
Tua.
true. But the weather I'm looking at, it's not going to be super brutal. It's going to be in the 40s, but that's still just too much for really Tua and what the Dolphins' whole MO is. If they're gonna win today, Achane might need to have like 200 all-purpose, which I guess is not out of the realm. But I'm taking
Bro,
the
he
Jets
should have
plus two and
had
a half.
200 all purpose against the Saints last week, but for some dumbass reason, the Miami Dolphins were like, "Oh, let's have Tua sling it," and like so on our picks last week, everybody. Michael and I both picked the Dolphins. I wanted to kind of lean to the Saints, and then Michael kind of convinced me. And then once I saw it happen, I was like, "Wait, I'm really trusting Tua to like 5.5 points to like a professional
I mean, it
football."
was there. They choked it up at the end for sure. But yeah, this game I'm taking the Jets plus two and a half. I just the Jets have been covering. They're 3-9 on the season, but they're 7-5 against the spread. So the Jets have been pretty favorable if you want to take
Yeah,
their
this
take
is
their
the
points
Jets
here.
are really looking a lot like the early Dan Campbell Lions, where
I mean, they just look like the Jets.
they're like in at like every game, but they'll just jet it up on certain times of the game.
They look like the Jets in the sense that when was the last like, they had a top 3 pick with Darnold, and they haven't had one since, and if you had to say, "Alright, since 2018, how ass have the Jets have been?" You would say, "Well, they're probably one of the worst teams in the league." You'd be right, but they're not picking in the top 3 every year. They somehow manage to win enough games and still not warp their perception of like, they're frisky." No, we all think they suck, and they do suck, but they manage to keep these games close and win games like these that when you take a look at, NFL Tankathon and you're like, "All right, well, the top draft already have the Titans are the first pick, Giants are the second pick, Saints, Vegas, Cleveland, Washington, and now the Jets at 3-9. And the Cardinals are also 3-9, and they get the luxury of playing the Rams. So it's like, they're probably not gonna win. And now all of a sudden you're looking at the Jets maybe missing out on picking in the top 10. And like, if you're not even guaranteed a top 10 pick and you're the Jets and you're a Jet fan, you're like, what are we doing here? We're so bad that we can't even lose correctly. And this is one of those games, and I'm going to take the Jets because of it.
I, I, there's a couple things going on in this matchup. Dolphins defense has been playing very well, particularly against the run. And you look at the Jets
Yeah.
offense, Michael, like, come on, man. What do you think? What do you think the Jets are going to be doing this game like 30, 40 times,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm going to go with the Dolphins here. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain my reasoning here is that the Jets have been playing very well lately. I feel like they're due to get smacked because they are, in fact, the Jets.
I mean, they can get smacked next week against the team that's supposed to make the playoffs and the Jags, you know?
I can see the Jags blowing that game
Oh, that
because
would be
I have a verb for them. They jag it up.
yeah, yeah. All right. Next game we have Titans Browns.
Yikes.
Yikes is right. The Browns are laying up to 4.5 points, which feels asinine.
How many sacks is Miles Garrett away from the
He
record?
needs 4. And if there
My,
was ever a
Michael, he
team,
can break the record today.
he could break the record today. If there was ever a team that could allow 4 sacks to one guy,
It's them.
it's the Tennessee Titans. Their offensive line is a disaster. And Cam Ward obviously still adjusting to NFL pockets and whatnot, and it just doesn't help when it's constant pressure and your receivers suck. So it's tough sledding out there for him. He's the most sacked quarterback in the league by a pretty wide margin, and no
Most
reason for me to believe
sacked
he's at least going to have
quarterback
2 today. Miles Garrett.
this season.
It just feels as though
Okay,
he might have
so
4.
would you like to know the NFL record for the most sacked quarterback in a season?
The record?
Yes.
Isn't it Russell Wilson?
No.
Is it Carson Wentz?
No.
Yeah.
I'll
How
give you a
recent
hint.
is
He's
it?
an NFL analyst.
How recent? Oh, it's Matt Ryan.
No.
Drew Brees?
No.
Am
You're
I am
This
I
guy
in
was
the
not
right
good. I'll
era?
say this. This guy was not a good quarterback.
I mean, is he still an analyst or did he stab somebody?
No.
It's
It's
not
not
Mark
Mark
Sanchez.
Sanchez. No, he's currently employed. I think he's an analyst. He commented last year about Jalen Hurts being bad or something, and everyone jumped on him because he sucked.
It's not like Orlovsky or
No.
Chris Sims, one of those guys.
This
How
guy this
old? How old am I talking here?
he was drafted in the early 2000s.
It's not, and he was bad. He wasn't good.
He's got more interceptions than he did career interceptions and career touchdowns.
Uh, Drafted in the early 2000s was ass, and um, my mind is at like Jake Locker, but like I don't think it's him. Uh oh, is it Ryan Leaf or
I'll
something?
give you a hint. He's on the NFL Network.
Okay, hold on, rewire the brain a little bit. Oh, is it uh it's not Matt Schaub. It's not, is it David Carr?
You are correct, sir. He was
Yeah,
sacked in a
okay.
16-game season for the expansion Houston Texans. He was sacked 76 times.
Where's Cam Ward at?
Cam Ward's been sacked 48 times.
Okay. He's got some he'll likely dodge that bullet.
If the Browns get like 10 sacks today, like some
I
obscene
mean,
amount,
that
he
would be
might become the most sacked quarterback of all
right,
time.
right. All this to
That is
say,
on the docket.
this game's also in Cleveland. I'm sure that weather is far from peachy. 33 degrees. There's active light snow showers that won't be going on during the game. Maybe a flurry here or there. It's going to be just freezing. And like Cam Ward played at Miami. I don't know how acclimated to the cold or whatever. You give me the Browns -4.5, I guess. I don't know if I love that. I could really just see the Browns winning like 9-6 or something. But if I had to really be earnest about putting my money somewhere, it would be trusting Miles Garrett to like never let a Titans drive get off the ground.
I mean, could the Titans theoretically like triple team him and like Mason Graham has a huge game? Like Michael, like I
I
was
mean, Mason Graham's barely help, and like no, honestly, do you think teams would have tried that by now? Like,
I
no
mean, I don't
one
know.
at this point. It's like you would be triple teaming him to keep him from the record, and you don't really care about how anything else works. Like, it just it's teams have tried everything. It doesn't matter when you're Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor level of talent was
I
what we're
mean,
talking
would
about
your
here.
concern though in this game potentially be like we talk about where everyone's like, oh, the Titans are bad, the Titans are bad. Like obviously
I
the
mean, they're
Titans,
1-11,
like obviously they're the worst team in the league.
right?
But do we feel like though with Shador, like is this a tough matchup for him with like the Titans defense? Michael, if the Titans had a normal bad offense, like I think we would be talking about their defense a little bit.
I mean, their
Versus,
defense is fine. It's still not anything special. It's okay. Like,
like
it's
I don't know,
solid against
man.
the run. It just
Like
and that's why I said the Browns are gonna win 12-2.
ew,
How about that?
ew. Um, I'm gonna go with Cleveland because listen. Here's the thing with Cleveland, though. I find that this is my theory.
We're spending a
I've shared
lot of
this theory.
time on Browns Titans.
I've shared this theory with you. If you're very good at running the ball and very good at playing defense, you will win football games in the NFL. Like you will. It's just a fact.
Right.
The thing is, I just feel like Kevin Stefanski has it out for Shador to a certain extent.
Yeah,
And
weird vibes for sure.
like it's like it's I think this is kind of where it's like I don't trust him. And like if he was to be like as the Eagles OC, like what if he I don't know for some reason doesn't like Jalen Hurts and he's like I want to
Alright, this is getting way too much into fantasy land. What is
I know.
the
I'm just
angle
like
for
I don't
this
know, man.
game?
I don't know. Like I feel very apprehensive. I'm taking the Browns.
Yeah, yeah. Um, God
Wow.
forbid, man.
Oh
Steelers Ravens next game, the
wow.
crown jewel of the AFC North. Who
Who's the
is going
true
to step up and take this division by the horns in this
Michael? Who's the
out?
real winner in this? Because I feel like the team that loses this game is going to fire their head coach at the end of the year. But wouldn't
I
you
mean, the
really
way
be
things have gone, I don't think
well,
either
wouldn't you
of
be
them are
the
firing their
winner
head coach.
if theoretically, like, oh no, we have to keep Tomlin. Like, oh
Yeah, I don't
no,
know.
we
I
have
don't
to
think
keep
either I
Harbaugh.
don't think either coach is firing. Either team's gonna fire their head coach, I'll be honest. I it's just the vibes I'm getting. I don't think it's happening.
You don't really put much stock in that Reddit post about
I
how
put stock into it. I don't think it means anything, though. They clearly, whatever blood deal they got with Harbaugh going on that they can't fire him. There's been way too many reasons to do it. Um, but this game, 6 points is just a lot, and I dude, the Steelers can't cover excuse me, the Ravens can't cover shit this year, you know? Like, 4-8 against the spread. I think they're gonna win, sure. I can't say with full confidence they're winning by more than a touchdown. The Ravens offense has looked like garbage. I mean, and Lamar versus the Steelers in his career has struggled pretty mightily. Um, you know, he averages only 160 passing yards a game. That's probably close to 200. That's skewed by a 0 game in there for whatever reason, but he has 8 touchdowns to 9 interceptions against Pittsburgh. He actually, in his first MVP year, had a stinker of all stinkers way back in 2019. His completion percentage is below 60%. He's had multiple starts with completion percentage under 50% against the Steelers. His best game was last regular season in December in a big game where he cooked 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, very good quarterback rating. That was his best game against Pittsburgh, so maybe he's trying to replicate that a little bit, but he's like he hasn't gone a start against the Steelers without throwing an interception. Is today gonna be the day that snaps? Maybe. Does that mean the Ravens offense is gonna play well? Not necessarily at all. I'm gonna take Pittsburgh +6. I'm gonna assume the Ravens win on the money line, but I can't comfortably rely on the Ravens offense to score that many points to cover 6 or their defense really to even hold a pretty garbage Steelers offense down either. The Ravens defense is still pretty putrid. I can't confidently
oh,
say they're gonna
I
do
don't know.
that.
There's so much negativity in this matchup, Michael.
Mhm. It's a lot of ass.
Like on the Ravens side, like
Are the Bengals gonna win?
Lamar is banged up. Like
Yeah.
Lamar is not 100% healthy. Um, he's got a bum ankle. You know, he's had the hamstring injury this year. Um, So Derrick Henry. I mean, let's face it, Michael. Like Derrick Henry's still pretty good. He's
He's
not the
definitely lost.
he's not the
He
Derrick Henry of 5 years ago, where he's this like
I mean, he's not even the Derrick Henry of last
monster.
year. Like, it's not even 5 years, it's just last year, and I was watching a nice breakdown on it, and it's like, what's the big difference this year? And it's his navigation through tight spaces. Obviously, he's such an enormous human being, and
Mhm.
when he gets downhill and his shoulders square, no one really is dying to tackle that or is going to tackle that,
No.
so that's where he's still pretty dangerous. However, I saw some clips of last year and this year, and it's when the holes are a bit muddy and there's a lot of legs and there's a lot of bodies around. He's just not avoiding them with with grace anymore. Like what he'd be so good at the last handful of years of his career is he'd be able to kind of half jump over someone diving at his leg or an offensive lineman's like backside to him, and then he'd get through that first level and he'd attack the second level, and it's a wrap at that point, he's gone. But now that first roadblock is tripping him up and slowing him down, and everyone's able to kinda clean him up, and it's why you're not seeing as many big runs because it's not that he can't get that breakaway speed downhill going again and no one wants to step in his way like a runaway freight train. He can't get off the station. He can't get through the line of scrimmage as effectively as he has been able to, and that's part of why you're probably not seeing him get as many touches either because he's just not been as efficient in that regard, but he's finally kinda lost a bit of it. He's still good, he's just not as totally dominant as he used to be, and it's greatly hurting the Ravens. Obviously, I think his career is gonna still last, and he's still gonna be able to get big yard numbers next to Lamar, playing with Lamar, but I think, I don't think he's rushing for 2,000 yards or close to it for the rest of his career, I'll just say that.
Yeah, and you notice the Ravens are trying to supplement their ground game with Keaton Mitchell, kind of like I know, it's kind of like the early career Brian Westbrook kind of situation where it's like, oh, we would get him out in pass plays,
Right,
screens, wheel routes.
right.
The thing that really hurts the Ravens, right, their offense right now is like Zay Flowers has just been, he's just been a ghost the last couple weeks.
Mhm,
He's like he was brought in to really stretch the defense, be like that deep play threat for Lamar, kind of like a Deshaun Jackson.
mhm,
And he's just not been like that. And listen, like he had a touchdown, but he got pinged for OPI against the Bengals.
mhm.
like again, this I feel like this is we never talked about OPI more in one show than we've ever
And
done since we
today?
started
Yeah.
this and today. But it's a fact, and I don't know. Like with that being said, the Steelers, man, the Steelers, I think are a much bigger mess than the Baltimore Ravens. Aaron Rodgers is starting today, Michael. Aaron Rodgers is like, I'm the Lou Gehrig of the NFL. I'm the Iron Man. Like, is an actual detriment to the Pittsburgh Steelers. With that, and listen, man, he's a selfish guy. He is. He's a selfish guy. That's a fact. He's selfish, and I think the Steelers are just kind of tired of him. Like he went, like he got, like he looked like he like got mugged last week, and he spent his like post game presser yelling, complaining about his receivers.
Yeah, he is just a grumpy old
He's a grumpy old
prick.
man. So with that being said, I am taking the Baltimore Ravens,
Laying the 6, man, that's a
laying the
big
6
spread.
at home.
They put this at a good number because if it was, like, field goal or less, I think we'd be seeing, everyone on Baltimore. Because you look at the splits, it's 85% of the money line is on Baltimore, and then 56% of the spread is on Pittsburgh. Next game,
This is bait. This is like 150% bait.
Seattle is 6.5-point favorites on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons stink, as far as I'm concerned. They're
You're
horrible.
correct, sir.
They don't really do anything well anymore.
But
Well, what is the but? I don't know what the but is.
I'm gonna give you. They're at and the Bucks have absolutely nothing to do with the Atlanta Falcons. By the way, I'm gonna
I
explain
mean,
the
the
Bucks.
Seahawks are a better road team than home team, that's for sure.
I'm gonna explain the Bucks to you. This is why they're putting the line like this. Historically, since in the last like 20-25 years, teams, is this a 1 o'clock game?
Yeah.
So teams that
Oh
are
boy.
from West Coast teams that have to play a 1 o'clock game cover the spread only like 20% of the time, 25% of the time. Now, here's the other angle. There's another angle to this. The Falcons just got humiliated losing to the Jets. They unlocked another humiliation ritual this year.
I mean, the Falcons have, I think, alone, like, 5 losses that are just unbelievably
Painful.
insane. Yeah.
And the third angle is Sam Darnold has not looked good the last couple weeks.
Yes,
And
but I
the
will
only good thing the Falcons do besides running it with Bijan Robinson and getting Drake London involved, they're good at sacking the quarterback. And what does Sam Darnold have trouble with, Michael? Processing blitzes. That's why the line is this cheap.
he did get sacked 4 times against the Vikings,
If the
in what
Vikings
was
had
a
a competent
shutout.
offense, they probably would have beaten the Seahawks.
Would've been close. I mean, you look at his best games, uh, Darnold, they've come on the road, the Washington game comes to mind. He played pretty well against Tennessee. Um, he played pretty decent against Jacksonville out there. He played, you know, he played good at home against Tampa and what was a really tough loss, with that bad interception off a helmet. So it's pretty it's lean he's better on the road, but it is a pretty mixed bag. I think this is still Seahawks City here. I'm taking Seattle minus 6.5. They're a better road team, and I think their defense is gonna very much make Kirk Cousins uncomfortable. Um, and they're good against the run defensively. They rank in rushing yards. They've allowed the second least amount of rushing yards per game this season, behind only Jacksonville. 88.8 rushing yards allowed per game, the Seattle Seahawks are at. And, you know, it's that
This
that's
feels
pretty
like
good, man.
bait, though, doesn't it? That's so
Not
cheap.
really. I mean, Seattle loves to run the ball. We know how much they love to run the ball. Atlanta gives up the
Yeah, but Kirk Cousins
7th
blows.
most rushing yards in the NFL. I Should the spread be bigger, I guess?
Yeah, 10 and a
Maybe.
half. Why
I
is this
hear
not
you.
10 and a half?
It's a good question. Why isn't it 10.5? I don't know. I don't know. I Because the underdog's gonna win? I guess. I don't know. I don't
I'm
know.
taking Atlanta because this just looks like massive bait.
It is fishy. I
This
think it's
looks so
fishy,
fishy.
but they could just be wanting to get in your head as well and make you overthink. We'll see. We'll see if you overthought it or if you were right on the nose. Um, this next game, probably yeah, I'll give this one the crown. Biggest game of the 1 o'clock slate for sure. The Indianapolis Colts looking to complete what would be a huge weekend for the state of Indiana. Um, on the road, take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game is a 1.5 point spread in favor of the Colts. They are road favorites by a point and a half, and we have a 50-50 split, ladies and gentlemen, on the spread. That is about as tight as it can go. You have some slight favor towards the Colts on the money line. Colts are floundering. Colts are floundering. They're drowning. Things are not looking good for Indy at the moment. Daniel Jones isn't really good to begin with. Also has a broken leg. Um, what did I just say about the run defense? The only team better than Seattle, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, what a better what couldn't be a better matchup for them, going against such a run heavy team. would be to have that great run D that the Jags have been able to possess all season. So this weather's gonna be pretty ugly, I think. There it looks like it's gonna be thunderstorms potentially during the game.
Would you like to know the last
I
time the
yeah, go ahead.
Colts won a game in Jacksonville?
I'll try to guess the starting quarterback.
Guess the
Was it
starting quarterback.
was it Matt Ryan?
No.
Was it Andrew Luck?
Correct.
Hmm, okay.
Would you like to know who the starting quarterback that week for the Philadelphia Eagles was?
Was it Mark Sanchez?
No.
Was it Nick Foles?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
September 21st, 2014 is the
I
last
was I was
time
in the
the
Sanchez season,
Indiana.
I just wasn't
Yeah,
there yet.
to put that into perspective, Michael, Peyton Manning was starting for Peyton Manning, who is now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, was the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Tom Brady went on to win the Super Bowl for the New England Patriots that season, by the way. That is a long ass time to go between not winning a game in against a division rival.
The Philadelphia Phillies won 73 games. How about that? In 20 sorry.
When we if we did this podcast back then, we'd be talking about how great Wayne Simmons is.
Oh, man. Anyways, what a okay,
So,
so
I'm
all your
taking
point to say
Jacksonville
me
until the
too, man.
Colts until the Colts can win a game there. Like
Until the Colts can win a game there, till the Colts can show me that they're not just gonna lose out, till the Jags give up a ton of yards on the ground, till a lot of those things. This is gonna be ugly, it's gonna be wet, it's gonna be messy, it screams quarterbacks getting strip sacked at every head turn.
yeah, you know who absolutely sucks in the wet weather when for the Jags? Trevor
Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence, yeah, he's not
So,
good too.
and I don't know because, like, see, now I'm like kind of questioning it a little bit. So, like, I could see T-Law turning it over like 5 times.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? I'm switching my pick. I'm taking the Colts.
Oh, whoa, after all that
I'm going to tell you.
hoopla.
I'm going to tell you why. Because I feel like if we were to like the one issue with Red Zone is when we watch these games in full, we get some of the context and like the jinxing that happens. Like,
Mhm.
oh, the Colts haven't won here since 2014. Oh, the Colts haven't won here. Colts haven't won here. Colts haven't like they're gonna bring it up
Yeah,
so much that it's gonna jinx the Jaguars.
yeah.
So
Okay, fair
I'm taking
enough.
the Colts.
You laid out the jinx and then jumped ship from it. How about that?
Yeah.
I'm still taking Jacksonville though. The Colts to me just feel like they're in free fall. And listen, the Jags are playing well, and maybe ebbs and flows. They're due to crash a little bit, but I'm gonna ride with it in like the biggest game of the year. This is potentially division deciding. You know implications on this game. Now we have Saints Bucks.
I love New Orleans today.
So do I. But are they going to cover? Maybe they do cover 2 weeks in a row. Tampa is 8.5 point favorites at home. Bucky got a week under his belt.
Well, wait, now I think about it though. Push pull. Tampa can never cover against anyone. But if I want them to cover, they gotta cover a
Eight and
huge
a half.
spread.
It's a lot of
That's a lot of
points.
points.
A lot of points. They got to win by basically got to win by double digits. You
Look
have
at
to
the
win by
money
two
line,
possessions.
97%. Michael, couldn't you see people's like survivor pools getting ruined today because Baker throws like 5 picks or something crazy, 5 turnovers, and
That's what I'm saying. Like Tampa has not really been that inspiring, especially as of late. And New Orleans kind of has been. I'm going to take the Saints plus the 8.5, maybe against my better judgment, but
I'm taking the Saints as well.
it's just the feeling we got going on here. This is there's a lot of slop. Once you get towards the end of the year, you get a lot of slop. Not here though. Bengals Bills 6 point spread. A lot of the public on Cincinnati to cover. A lot of the public on Buffalo to win. Dude, the Bengals, they're still not good. However, if there is a defense that is capable of being cooked up in what is gonna be there's potential there's snow during this game, at least snow on the field during this game. They were showing I was out at a restaurant yesterday for lunch, and they had on the TV, NFL Network, and they were showing the replay of the 2022 divisional playoff game between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals when it was snowing pretty heavily in Buffalo, and the Bengals absolutely cooked Josh Allen and the Bills. And it just made me think I can envision Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is back, and they're running down the field past these garbage Bills corners after they fumbled this Darius Slay situation and at least cover 6 points. I feel like Buffalo is not like, they're gonna try to just pound the rock and limit possessions and just milk every second of this clock down and do as much as they can to keep the ball out of Joe Burrow and the receiver's hands as much as possible. And I just think the
Yeah, I
Bengals are
can
gonna
see that.
score quick, man, and score quick and score effectively, and the Bills are they're gonna be playing 2 different styles of football, and it's gonna
Man, the
result in
total
a
is
close game.
53.5.
In a blizzard for that matter. I'm taking Cincinnati plus the 6.
I like the Bengals a lot in this game, man. I just something about the Bills this year to me, like we
They
talk
stink.
about we talk. I know I didn't I forgot. I don't know if I mentioned this with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are star dependent. The Bills are very similar to Dallas. They are star dependent. If Josh Allen and James Cook aren't like balling, like straight up balling, like they just have no shot at winning. Like in other words, like
Yeah,
if like they can't like grind out wins is what I'm saying. They're incapable of doing that.
yeah.
In a league where this team with the best record in the AFC, all they do is grind out wins, the Denver Broncos. You
Mhm.
know? This is like
Yeah,
this is a grind out. This is like a season of grinding games out basically. Bills aren't
yeah.
capable of doing that. Neither is Cincinnati. However, Cincinnati, like you said, has quick strike capabilities. The Bills don't.
No, not through the air. Their quick strike is hoping James Cook breaks a long run.
Right. I'm taking
Right.
the Bengals.
Yeah. Alright,
Speaking of
Broncos
Denver,
Broncos Raiders, seven and a
this
half
is
points.
super fishy. The Raiders are
It
terrible.
Yeah, but the last time these 2 teams played, the Broncos only won by a field goal in Denver.
You want to take the
The Bron
Raiders?
Look at the Broncos, dude. 10 and 2 money like record, 5 and 7 against the spread.
You know
Bo
something, Michael?
Nix is horrible.
You know something, Michael? There's two division heavy games today: Bucks, Saints, Broncos, Raiders. I don't think the Broncos and the Bucks are winning today. One of them is losing.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
think both of them are losing?
I don't think they're losing. I just think they're not covering. Give me the Raiders, man, plus 7.5. This is a week of the dogs is where I'm at.
You're thinking of like our former Eagle fan favorite Alex Singleton, like just flopping around trying to cover Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers is just unbelievably good.
The problem with the Raiders, though, man, is look, man, like new offensive coordinator, like Chip Kelly stinks. Like we all know this,
Mhm,
man. Like Pete Carroll does have Sean Payton's number. Like
mhm.
in other words, like even though like there's a massive talent disparity today, like Pete Carroll still knows how to defeat Sean Payton in games or make his life difficult as a play caller.
So you're taking the Raiders,
I guess I'm taking the Raiders to cover.
dude.
I'm gonna text you later when the Raiders are losing 28-0, I'm like, I'm never letting you talk me into anything ever again.
Listen, I mean, Bo Nix, man,
Like
he's
Geno
five.
Smith could throw like 5 picks today.
Sure, and they lose, you know, 14-9.
No, like Bo Nix is gonna have like 10 for like 18, 158
10
yards,
completions.
like one interception, and RJ
Dude,
Harvey
10
is like
completions.
RJ Harvey, 28 carries, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns, or something wild, or something like
But look
that.
at the Denver gives up the 5th least amount of rushing yards, obviously, and the Raiders, not too bad. They're 15th, smack dab in the middle in terms of rushing yards allowed per game. So they're not, they're no slouch. I'm sure that's higher just because they get gassed from their bad offense, but it's not too bad. Um, Next game, this
Game of the
is
week,
game of the yeah.
maybe.
Another silly one here. The Green Bay Packers are 6.5 point favorites. 6.5 point favorites at home against the Bears. Vegas showing zero love for the Chicago Bears. This is interesting to me because I saw someone bring this up in the context of yesterday's Indiana Ohio State game. And the spread was only 4.5 for that game. Tight spread. And if you asked the public to go make the line for that, they probably would have had it at about a touchdown, I would say. And it was only 4.5. And someone was like, if Vegas wanted the public to bet, and this is sort of your logic also to that Seattle Atlanta game, but if Vegas wanted the public to bet Indiana, they would have made this spread 8.5. They would have jacked it up. But they didn't because they had a feeling about Indiana. And they kept it low, 4.5, and Indiana goes ahead and they win outright. Now we're looking here and we're saying Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears. They may want the public to bet the Bears because the Packers are going to take care of business. The Packers being 6.5 point favorites, I know it's at home, but against the team they're trailing in the standings, against the number one seed in the NFL, or excuse me, in the NFC. I mean, you think this line is a little big, don't you think? Is it because they want people to bet on the Bears, knowing the Packers are going to take care of business and win by double digits?
It does feel like the Bears are definitely due for a loss. Like they're due to have
Yeah.
like you saw all the close games they lost last year. They're like winning those games.
Hmm.
I think with Green Bay though, and Toyota-thon Jordan Love, which that's
Yeah.
wild. That's just
Yeah.
the most random stat.
Yeah.
Dude, man, we might be due for a Rams Packers NFC title game in Los Angeles, I guess.
It's the way
It's
it's looking. It's the
kind
way
of
it's
looking like
looking.
that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Where are
yeah,
you at with this game? Are you
I'm gonna say that the Packers are going to demolish the Chicago Bears in the NFL's oldest rivalry.
you're probably right. But I've been doing this bit with them all year where I'm riding the Bears, man. They've been good to me. They've been winning games, you know, 7-4-1 against the spread. They're 9-3 on the season. Give me the Chicago Bears to cover the 6.5. I'm for whatever reason, NFC North in division game. Both teams have had enough time off from their previous win that they really shouldn't be riding that high. They both have the extra rest. I like the Bears to keep this game close, and a field goal decides it. Give me Chicago plus 6.5.
Wow.
It's tough. I'm not. I'm probably wrong on this one. I'll be honest. I have a gut feeling that I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna stick with it. Because so many people are betting the Bears spread, dude. It's so not hitting. Anyways, Rams, Cardinals. Rams coming off their loss, their horrible loss to the Panthers, looking for a bounce back. in division on the road against against the Cardinals. I gotta believe in the Rams, like a rage Rams game of, you know, putting up points. It's one of those games where they feel like they're gonna kick field goals on 4th downs and short because it's like we need to make sure we win this game like real badly. And like their defense plays nuclear, and you look and the final score, it's like, all right, Rams took care of business. They won like a weird score, like 29 to like 10. It was like, okay, that game wasn't
This
even
feels like
close.
it's going to be the narrative out of when the Cardinals lose is going to be, why isn't Kyler Murray playing? Like,
He's out for the year, man. He's
is
done.
no, he's
They
like
shut him
salt.
down.
He's not as injured as they say he is. That's the thing.
I mean, they shut him down
They
for the last,
Keyshawn
3 months
Johnson
of the
him
season.
basically. Told him to go home.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
told him to go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that being said, yeah, I mean, listen, man. Jonathan Gannon's probably dead coach walking. Like, I'm very
The
confident
vibes out there are
they're bad. Even though, like,
putting it
defensively,
nicely is to say the vibes are bleak.
the vibes are bad, and the I mean, I don't want to use the term hopeless,
Mhm.
but like the next head coach is going to want a quarterback, and I don't know if the Cardinals are bad enough to like be in the race for Mendoza, or if they're going to engineer a trade to move up to get Mendoza. That's pretty much the only quarterback that I see it's going to get drafted in the first round right now, potentially.
There's
Uh,
gonna be more, you know it. There always is some more slop that tends
Dante
towards the
Moore,
issue.
probably
He
Dante
might,
Moore,
yeah, Dante Moore, I shouldn't say
probably
slop.
Dante
I
Moore,
don't
but he shouldn't.
I
Um,
mean, I don't know, we'll see on Dante Moore.
do
I
you
don't think he's
feel
that
like
bad.
though that after last week, you know, I don't know, man. Here's the thing with the Rams. The Rams are so weird, dude. Couldn't you like you brought up a good point because it's 9.5. The Rams are just gonna go into this game being like, and you know McVay thinks like this. He's like, dude, Devontae's cooking, but he's like 33. Pookie's been hurt the whole season. You know, we know Stafford's back as a ticking time bomb potentially. Like all it takes is like Josh Sweat drilling him as hard as he can in Stafford's back, and then he's just lying on the ground like a corpse. You know, can't get up, and their season's over essentially. Kyron Williams is, Kyron Williams. You saw last week they were really featuring a lot of Blake Corum, easing up on.
Well, Kyron got banged up in that game too.
Yeah. So with that
Yeah.
being said, I'm going to take the Cardinals to
Wow.
backdoor cover this game.
Okay, fair enough. Um, Next game we have is Sunday Night Football. Chiefs, Texans.
Man, this feels like it's going to
You wanna
be.
know where I'm at with this game,
I
John?
know where you're going to pick. You're going to pick the Texans because
The
you think they're.
Texans are winning this game, dude. Let me tell you right now. The Chiefs' offensive line is battered, destroyed. I liked the Texans before their offensive line was disheveled, and now it is extremely banged up. What in God's name is Kansas City going to do against that pass rush? Mahomes is going to be getting rid of the ball in quite literally under a second, at least like 20% of his passes. It is going to be something we've never seen. We're going to see a lot of moving pockets. We're gonna see a lot of bootlegs. We're gonna see a lot of like designed rollouts just to get him away from the vulturous, terrifying defensive line of the Houston Texans. Um, but you can only out game plan a bad offensive line so much. They're gonna need to throw blocks and hold up in pass protection. And all the Texans need to do on offense is just like not turn the ball over and muster up like I'll call it 2 to 3 drives, and I think that should be plenty, um, to take care of Kansas City because I really have such a high standard of this Texans defense, and
It does feel like though at a certain point, is this Texas defense going to literally like kick everyone's teeth in every single week? Because it feels like that's what they're doing.
yes, they are. They just are.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
simply
no Trey Smith today for the Chiefs
their
again.
run defense is like they give up the 4th lowest amount of rushing yards per game, 91.7. At home, they've given up 106 rushing yards a game. On the road, they've given up 77 rushing yards a game. Of the home road splits across the NFL, that is the lowest by a nice little chunk. The only team that's lower is the only team with less is Jacksonville. They give up 75 rushing yards a game on the road. So, um, and again, the Chiefs don't even run the ball to begin with, but then you look at the pass defense rankings, and the Houston Texans also give up the fourth least amount of passing yards in the NFL. So yeah, I feel pretty good, man, about the Texans defense today, and I think that's going to be enough to. This will be the dagger. Losing to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. The Chiefs have never been more desperate. Their backs have never been more against the wall. And I know all year I've been pleading that mantra of when the Chiefs really need it, desperately need it, they find a way. They did it against the Ravens early in the season, or excuse me, they did it against the Colts a few weeks ago. Um, I actually just don't think they're going to be able to will themselves to a win. I don't think they're going to have the firepower enough to do it. And I'd like Houston to come out Sunday night with a absurd road win and practically eliminate the Kansas City Chiefs from the playoffs.
Yeah, this would be a huge win under the belt of CJ Stroud as well. I'll say this though, Michael, is what about the Chiefs defense versus Houston's offense? You know, Trent McDuffie needs a bounce back game after having the worst game of his career against the Cowboys potentially. I don't. The one thing this Chiefs offense really lacks to me, besides their O line being in shambles, even when they're all healthy, they really just don't have a pass catching running back that can make a difference in their aerial attack. Like
They don't
Andy
have a
Reid.
they don't have an explosive running back. Period. Run game, pass game,
No, in the past they used to have like Jerick McKinnon who was pretty good.
in the past, yeah, they don't have
Jerick
that now.
McKinnon, Jamal Charles,
I mean, what
like
Kareem Hunt used to
when
be,
Kareem Hunt had his legs, like yes, like that's the thing though is in
they don't
this
have a
game
running
that
back that
guy
can
will be
run for
so
20
vital
yards.
because you just
Yeah,
said, "Oh, Mahomes has to get the ball out in a second." Where it's like, okay, how do you negate a pass rush or a team that's blitzing a lot? No, you check it down to the running back and he makes a play.
right, right.
And that's a big part of Andy Reid's like way to stop the blitz, and it's a big reason why the Chiefs like offense has been sputtering at times all season. Despite the fact Travis Kelce still is a really good tight end, and Rashee Rice is a good wide receiver. And yeah, Xavier Worthy's not really living up to his first round billing,
But
but
he's fine.
as a number two, he's solid. He's an average number two wide receiver. So with that being said, man, like this does feel like Mahomes is gonna get sacked like 9 times. It does really feel like
So
that.
they got Josh Allen 8 times.
And with Mahomes, this feels like Mahomes is so evasive though.
And he's really hard to sack. Gets the
Like
ball
Josh
out.
Allen, like Josh Allen kind of
I mean,
is.
Josh Allen is really hard to sack as well. Like, he's very difficult to sack.
Yeah, but still, like when you're coming at him at all angles and like he's got nowhere to throw to. See, that's the thing too. Is like you
That
expect
applies to all of them.
you expect Andy Reid to be able to come up with something to negate their blitz. Where like, come on, man, it's the Bills, dude.
Yeah, but they don't blitz a ton, Houston. That's like the
That's true. That's
that's
very
that's the
true.
whole scary.
When they do blitz, it's like you just don't know where it's coming from.
The to blitz, let's go sort by blitz rate. The Eagles. Their Texans are like middle of the pack in blitz rate. Yeah, they're middle of the pack. You'd think the Bengals would blitz a little more. They're the least blitzing team in the league. The Eagles by far have the highest light box rate. That just shows how much they trust their linebackers. Interesting. Just peeking at some tendencies. Pretty cool. Uh, stuff here. Regardless, so you're going with who?
I'm going to go with Kansas City.
I figured. Makes sense. Hey, listen, I'm excited.
I'm thinking like 17, like 10 Kansas City.
We're gonna get some large movement in our picks this week. We are very well. We're not super. We have some difference. It's actually about the same. I thought it was a little more, but it's not. Which takes us to Monday night, last game of the week. Usually we save the Eagles for last. Now it works out. They are playing on Monday Night Football. They are in Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Now, both teams dealing with some injuries. Obviously, we know the Chargers' offensive line situation is in shambles. Um, but very important, Justin Herbert had a procedure done on his left hand, and he is going to still play, but I can't imagine he can take a snap under center. I feel like he's going to be in shotgun every play. That should be helpful to the Eagles defense, knowing what the offense is going to have to be doing. He probably won't be able to hand off a ball with his left hand, handing something off going to the right. He's probably going to have to use his right hand on a backhand situation. Um, yeah, he's not 100%, and yes, it's the non-throwing hand, but all it takes is one hit on that hand, and you start thinking about it too much, making your throws, trying to protect it instead of fully getting into your motion. So something that should definitely benefit the Eagles there. But on that same coin, they are also dealing with injuries of their own. Jalen Carter, he's been struggling a lot since the bye. It's really just been a few flash plays here and there, and him really relying on his instincts. And it's because his shoulders are jacked up. They said he had a procedure.
Yeah,
There's
Dr. Chow
speculation.
said that it's not
Yeah,
serious, but it's something that he should not play like a week, or he should not play
yeah.
for
The,
a week.
the speculation is that it's PRP injections, which pretty normal
Platelet
stuff
rich
is
plasma.
what it makes it seem like. And you can play on those, but they do like when you get it's better if you get some rest, so feels like they're just kinda gearing him up for the playoffs at this point. He may miss multiple games, it seems like, maybe won't see him until the Bills game, perhaps, um, or we might not see him at all the rest of the regular season, and then he'll be held out until the playoffs come around and, hopefully can make a big impact there, so that's a huge miss for the Eagles, for sure, especially coming off their worst defensive line performance of the season, I'd say, against the Chicago Bears. They were getting run all over the field. They gave up the most rushing yards since what was that? A Billy Davis led defense under Chip Kelly. So
Wow.
yeah, pretty ugly stuff there. That is for certain. All that being said, though, we're pulling up those defensive metrics and the run defense specifically. The Chargers, middle of the pack rushing defense. It's been
Well, this is the thing that
it's
scares me about tomorrow is the Eagles got shredded on the ground against the Chargers, and I believe that the Chargers' first round pick, Omarion Hampton, he is going to be healthy. He will return. And Kimani Vidal has done a good job the last couple weeks filling in for Omarion Hampton.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Michael, they're just going to do the same thing as they're going to just do the same thing that the Bears were doing. Now, to your point, though, you brought up a good point. It's going to be hard to take snaps under center.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like that's the thing that scares me is the Eagles just like to use light boxes.
Hmm.
And you saw what the Bears did. They just attacked the Eagles. Now, granted, Ben Johnson is a much more inventive play caller than Jim Harbaugh is. It's a fact,
Right.
you know. But like the Chargers have won a lot of games since Harbaugh got there by pounding the rock. And listen, we all know, let's listen. That's just like a minor part of the narrative. The big narrative is the offense. And, it sounds like to me with the report that came out about Sirianni being more involved in the game plan basically tells me that Kevin Patullo is like soft demoted?
Um, I wouldn't. I mean, I guess we'll see Monday whose mouth is moving in between plays. Um, but I don't know if it's a soft emotion as much as it's just Nick stepping in and feeling the heat and needing to do something about
I
it.
wonder if certain players asked him to step in, which, you would think if whoever the leak is, right? The leak would be yapping about how, oh, Sirianni was asked to step in
Right. Right.
because
Maybe they're waiting till if they have a good game or not to start spreading that Sirianni PR or something. And if they have a bad game and they can like deflect or something. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Saquon is saying he's very excited for the run game wrinkles that they put in this week, whatever that means. I don't know, man. I'm worried. I'm really worried about the offense
I'll say this
because
about the Eagles pass rush though. Like, come on, man, this Charger O line is really bad. Like,
no, the pass rush should tee off for sure. But I'm very worried about the offense in the sense of if you remember back to 2023 when the Eagles defense really started to get ugly after that Niner game, after that Cowboy game, and we're sitting here and we're like, dude, we there is just it's just going to be bad. It's just bad. It's not going to get better. There's nothing that's going to save it. It just is what it is. It just sucks. Every week we're going into a game knowing our defense is not going to be able to stop shit. And I'm approaching that with the offense. Obviously, it's a little different because they have just significantly more talent than that defense
and also
had,
like the rules are different though.
but it just doesn't feel like why am I to believe that the offense is just going to snap out of it one day when they couldn't at home against a bad defense in the Chicago Bears, when they looked horrible there, when they couldn't do it in a dome against the Dallas Cowboys, where that just gave up 44 points to the Lions with, their receiver potentially being banged up in that game. Why am I supposed to believe that the offense that's averaged 15 points a game the last month is all of a sudden going to wake up on Monday morning and the offensive line is going to be able to block? And, you know, they're going to have all these complex passing schemes that allow them to be a very pass heavy offense instead of being super predictable. I I just find that really hard to believe that they're going to be able to conjure that up at this point. It just feels as though every week the offense
I feel like
is
it's
gonna
still like
disappoint.
like, dude, like if the offense, like, I don't know, man, like let's just get like really imaginative. Let's say the Eagles score like 31 points tomorrow night. We'll say.
How?
I don't know. The Chargers,
2 defensive touchdowns?
sure. Like, I don't know, sure. Will Shipley runs a kickoff back for a touchdown, and Herbo gets sacked, fumbles, picked up by Zach Bond,
So they score
touchdown.
17 offensive points.
Yeah, sure. Why not? We'll just throw that out there. And then, like, I don't know, let's say, like, that happens. And then, like, then you're going to have, like, the talking heads will be like, why didn't Sirianni step in earlier when this was happening? Why did he wait until, December to basically, you know, demote Kevin Patullo? Like, why was he
Sure.
given the same amount of leeway as, Shane Steichen and Kellen Moore when clearly, blah, 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 blah? Or why wasn't,
Right, right, right,
because
right, right.
here's what's going to happen to it. If the offense does well, then you're going to hear like Jalen Hurts was very vocal in team meetings about what needs to be done and what changes had to be made. And then it's going to be like, why isn't Jalen being treated like with the same respect in terms of his football mind as like a Mahomes or like a Stafford? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna complain still, but it's gonna be really
I mean,
bad.
these are all narrative based, and I'm not disagreeing with your premises here, but
I do think though.
what do you think's gonna happen? Do you think the offense is gonna play well? Not if they play well, this will happen. Are they going to even play well?
dude, if they just get 3 touchdowns and kick 2 field goals, I'll be satisfied. Like
That's a big ask for this team. How
that's
many
correct. It is
times
because
like they've
here's the
only
thing
scored
too.
27
Here's
points
the
on
thing. We
offense.
constantly complain about the scheme, which the scheme isn't good. I'm not gonna debate you on that. But bro, the Eagles are one of the most heavily penalized teams in the league, but their penalties are all on offense. Like they
Yeah, they're
literally
self-inflicted. They're all penalties, to be completely honest with you. There's maybe only about one a game that's like, I don't know about that one. More often than not, yes, the illegal man is downfield. Yes, Jordan Mailata is jumping before the ball snapped.
yes,
Yes,
2 men
they
are
are
in
holding.
motion at the same
Yes,
time.
all that. Yes, they are. Cam Jurgens did tackle that linebacker that blitz right past his face. All of that. Yes, Fred Johnson did push his hand in that dude's jaw. Like, it's just a lot of it's dumb, it's dumb. It feels, like, a little lazy, it feels like the message isn't getting through, it feels like all of that. Like, they're maybe they should've acted like they were champions a little bit more and stopped, like, trying to flush the Super Bowl down the toilet or something like it was a bad
Or
loss.
I don't
Maybe
know
you shoulda walked
If
around with
Sirianni
pride.
is stepping in like he's saying here. It almost feels like Kevin Patullo is like the teacher that can't control his class or get
I mean,
everyone
if
focused.
he's just, like, the adult in the room in those meetings and the guys are paying attention, I don't know. I don't know. We're just gonna have to see what it looks like tomorrow. I'm still gonna take the Eagles, whatever. Um, I think the defense you know what actually think is gonna happen? I think we're gonna see another win that, like, is what the Lions and Packers games look like. Like, low scoring, ugly, just don't make any mistakes, and you'll probably be fine, and there you go. What's so annoying, probably the most annoying part about the Eagles offense is that they will have one drive that is actually looking really nice, and then something bad will happen. I think of the Jalen fumble in Green Bay. I think of the tush push fumble against Chicago. I think of just bad penalties that get you
I
behind the
think of
sticks and
the
you gotta
drive in
settle.
the Cowboy game where Fred Johnson jaw jacks that one
Yes,
guy,
and, like, why
or like the
why
Smitty.
does one penalty that derails a drive derail the entire rest of the game? That's what drives me insane. That Packer fumble that Jalen had was on the first drive of the game against Green Bay, he fumbles, and then all of a sudden, it was like the offense had to go back in its shell, like, "Ooh, we got a little aggressive there. Alright, that's it. No more, no more. Just take our time and protect the ball, and we'll win this game, guys." And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why does one bad thing make the entire
Yeah,
operation
I
go
don't
to
really
shit?
feel like Jalen is like a Josh Allen where when Josh Allen commits one turnover, then like 3 more happen later because he's just like,
No, he grew out of the bunches of turnovers, and you know what? Let him. Let him make the mistake. Prove me wrong that he can't do it. Show me that he's actually
is
incapable
this
of
like the
doing it.
analytics where it's like if we don't
No,
turn
it's
the
not.
ball
It's
over,
these are
we
bad
win at a
analytics.
higher rate or something. I don't know.
Yeah, sure, but there's a difference between being turnover averse and just plain
Well, the thing is,
soft.
like the Rams kind of do this same thing as the Eagles with like avoiding the turnovers, but the Rams scheme is so much better looking. We don't complain about that
The
with the
Rams are a lot
Rams.
more aggressive in their play style and their play call. Like, they don't turn the ball over because 'cause they're a good team. That's why, not because they run these risk-averse plays and
Well, they're
only
also very,
throw.
but they don't. But the knock on McVay is at the end of games he gets so conservative that they
Yeah,
just
because
they
he's a loser, but, like, we're a loser the entire game, really, that's what it is. We're selectively aggressive, and we're aggressive when we shouldn't be and, you know, passive when we shouldn't be, and we're the opposite of what makes sense. Like, those decisions that he made in the Packers and Lions game alone were, like, fireable offenses and 2 wins somehow. And it's just frustrating. I think they're gonna win because things are getting desperate, and I think they tend to just kinda find a way. I'm really hoping they do it one more time. Um, but I'm holding a lot of weight in the defense's shoulders here. I really do think they're gonna need to play a good game. DeJean is gonna have his hands full with McConkey, so I'm gonna give him a lot of credit or crap depending on how he plays on tomorrow. Um Yeah, man, if they're getting diced up by Herbert, who's got one hand, I'm gonna be pretty upset. If the offense looks like shit again, I'm gonna be pretty upset, so I'm banking on being upset. They're just gonna have to try to find a way to win and, like, lock up the division because I'm sick of worrying about that at least. Give me a home playoff game where I can maybe avoid the total disaster immediately, but until that occurs, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I'll take the Eagles minus 2.5 on the road.
Well, so here's the thing I want to bring up about Justin Herbert against the Fangio defense. Herbert is 2-2 against the Fangio defense, 1,071 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 picks. Both wins were at home. Not good. It's not good, man. I don't like that. I know he's got one hand, but gosh, I feel like he's hurt all the time, you know? Like Herbert's always dealing with something. So I feel like when you're a quarterback that's used to playing with injuries, you just suck it up, I suppose. Like he just sucks it up, I guess.
Mhm.
I'm taking the Chargers. I need to see the Eagles play a complete game, which they've only done once this year, and that was against the lowly Giants.
Yeah.
I need to see more. I need to see the defense be able to stop the run. You know, the Eagles have had issues stopping the run this year, Michael. Let's not pretend like the Chicago Bear game was some sort of like anomaly where they've
Well, yeah, to
they've
that level, sure, but no, they've had their issues against the run.
issues against the run. I need to see them be able to stop. I need to see them be able to play a good game on defense. Like, no Jalen Carter's big. That's pretty big.
You're taking the best player off the field. Like,
And the
it's
Eagles
just
just really don't have depth on the D line. Like, to not have Jalen Carter.
no, their depth didn't
Like
pan
playing
out.
Jalen Carter. Like 90% of the snaps last year was kind of a bad idea.
You had to. You had to. Yeah, well, we'll
And
see.
listen, let me pull, is Moro Jomo playing? Because he got pretty banged up in the last game.
Yeah, he's playing.
Injury report. The
He's
big one
definitely
now.
playing.
What are your thoughts on this? Your boy Sidney Brown is not playing. He's out.
It's huge, man. That is a huge benefit to this team.
And obviously Lane is out. Actually, Sidney Brown is not on the injury report, so he's probably going to play.
Well, it's only if Marcus Epps he's gonna be dressed, but if Epps can go, he's gonna play.
Epps is questionable, but he's been a full participant the last 3 days of
Yeah,
practice.
he's just ramping back up from being on IR. Epps is ahead of him on the depth chart, so we're gonna see Marcus Epps play
Which
if he's healthy.
Marcus Epps was a starter on the 2022 NFC champion Eagles.
I mean, it can't be much worse than Sidney Brown. He
It
was
does
atrocious
feel
versus
like
the
I don't
Bears.
know, man.
He actually played one of the worst games for a safety as I've ever seen, especially in a
Yeah,
game where the team barely threw the ball well.
he's gonna basically be like a Chris Maragos, like a career special teams
And,
player.
like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Like you don't
just
spend third round picks on career special teams players when those guys are
no,
usually like undrafted players.
no, but when your third round pick busts into a um when your third round pick when was he yeah, when your third round pick busts into a special teamer, that's not like the end of the world. Like it's a he's useful on
Yeah,
special teams. He just
yeah. So
I mean, it's not like he's out of the league, he's gonna have a spot somewhere on a roster as a special teamer. But
yeah, that's right. That's true. So with that being said, um, week 14.
you taking the
Honest.
Chargers or the
I'm
Eagles?
taking the Chargers.
Okay.
Taking the
All right.
Chargers.
Well, that'll wrap it up,
Let's
folks. We
wrap
got
it
about
up.
90
Everybody,
minutes till
Stars
1
play at
o'clock.
1 against the Colorado Avalanche. We got Red Zone with a little dual screen action going on today.
We'll see you later in the week.
We'll see you later in the week.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, Check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.